Okay, I have 11:02, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I want to thank those of you who have joined for joining the latest in the Voluntary Benefit Shop's bi-weekly broker webinar series. Today we have the team from Triada here to talk about their GAP plan. We have Ray and Jed on today, and they'll be sharing some information about their GAP plan, which is unique because it's available in all 50 states and it has some other very unique characteristics. I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'll let them share the great advantages of their plan. Before I do so, just touch on a couple of things. Ray, if you could go to the next slide for me. Again, guys, my name is Mike Walker. I'm from the Voluntary Benefit Shop. I'm the president of the Voluntary Benefit Shop. And if you're not familiar with us, what we do is we help brokers and employers bring the best in voluntary benefit programs to their staffs. We work with all the major carriers. We bring innovative solutions and innovative communication technologies to help you communicate those benefits to the employees, and we're here to help. So that's my commercial for the day. If you ever need anything in terms of voluntary benefits, you know who to reach out to. Reach out to us here at the Voluntary Benefit Shop. So Ray, if you could go to the next one. So guys, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ray and Jed from Triada, and they'll talk to us about their GAP plan and their solutions. Ray, I do want to tell you, like I told you, we do have a little bit of a smaller audience today, but I can tell from the people that are on, you do have some good people on here that can be great advocates for you. So take it away. I know you're not feeling 100% today, but I know you're going to give it. You're a gamer, so you're going to give it your best effort. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I know it, brother, and thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for being on this presentation and on this call. It's what an honor and what a place to be, truly. And thank you so much, Mike, for that. I think our partnership and the values that you bring to the table. And you're very modest about all the values that you have, but I always felt that if you want a one-stop shop and you want just to go to one place to literally get everything you need, this is where you go to the VB Shop. And that's I just wanted to get that, just say thank you for the time today. For everyone, my name is Ray Rostami. I'm the Northeast Sales Manager for Triada. I do apologize, my sound. The kids brought the flu and the plague home, so I do have a little bit of a hoarse of a voice today. But thank you so much for being on this presentation. And just know that even though I am the Northeast Sales Manager, we do work with our counterparts across the entire nation. And so we deliver. It doesn't matter where you are and where your client is. We always come together to help out. And with myself, I have my right hand, my friend, my partner, Jed Regan, and he's on a call today. Jed, you want to just say hello real quick?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's great to be here. Hard to follow that, Ray. Just
Jed,
my role.
Go ahead.
No, just say my role is for implementation and sales operations. And what that really means is I'm here to help guide, train both brokers, employees, your clients, handle the proposals, really work with you from the beginning to end to get it across the finish line.
I really appreciate it, Jed. And with Jed, guys, I mean, we're talking about him and his team are pulling, 24-hour turnaround on proposals. Amazing job. No detail goes, unnoticed. I mean, if you want something done right, I really appreciate everything that he's doing for us and our strategic partners. With that said, I would like to just to give you a background what's so unique about Triada. We have a very unusual model in the market, whereas we have a fully funded and a self-funded model. And for the GAP itself, we are working on a self-funded chassis. This means that we are the carrier, we have the funds, we have everything in-house, we handle all the claims, we do literally everything. However, in order to get a 50-state offer, we are leaning on the self-funded chassis, and that means that we do partner with A-plus carriers that are conglomerates as our reinsurers. Now, if you're not familiar with the reinsurer model, all that means is that if a carrier needs backup, they lean on another, conglomerate financially. And with us, we're sitting very nice. So your clients, you never, as far as our stature, never have to worry about that. So we currently work with 800 plus companies on our, in the past 8 years that we've been in the business, and it's 800. I know it doesn't sound like a ton of companies, but this is our Gap Plus program, which we're going to kind of touch on. Just know that this is just one portion of what we do. We also have a health reimbursement management model. So we have about 30,000 square feet in Texas with 3 different companies that are operating to bring the latest and the greatest to our clients. And we currently have over 500,000 employees covered, and we are hoping to hit the 1 million mark by the end of this year. So we are a growing company, and every year that goes by, we're doubling in size. And we have a 90% retention rate. And that's a very interesting thing in our business, because I'm sure if you're familiar with voluntary benefits and the retention rate of voluntary benefits, I don't need to get into that. Everybody's a professional on this call. But you know what your expectations usually are from year 1 to year 2, year 2, year 3, and what happens within the first 5 years. We are carrying a 90% retention rate because we are directly go hand in hand with the major medical solutions that the companies are offering. So we're not going anywhere. So working with us, it gives you that, the extra route, the extra, in with the company for year 2, year 3, and 4 at 90% retention. Now, why we all are on this call and why I call it the new Gap plan? Well, we have literally broke the mold on literally everything that was part of the standard model of what Gap looked like in the past. And we have made it as unique as possible to fit the next 3 to 5 year problems that are going to, be on the horizon here with the health market. So again, for some of you, me just saying this is all 50 states is enough, meaning that New Jersey, New York, California, we can work everywhere because of the self-funded model, the self-funded chassis. So if you are in need of a gap carrier in the states that others are, doesn't apply, we're here, right? 2 is that universal rates, our rates are predetermined. And I know a lot of times you guys have to do a case-by-case underwriting for these gap plans. For a company, you don't have to do that with us. We guarantee you no pre-ex. We have multiple age bands where composite and bucket rates are not necessary. And that allows for a lot of individuals that are in a higher age range to have that financial freedom to be able to protect themselves for a lower rate. So, other companies may have 2 age bands. We have 5. We actually separate the 55 and plus from the rest. So it really helps for the older demographic to be able to protect themselves. People that are in their 40s or 50s, they no longer have to be bundled up with people that are older than them. And that literally cuts the price in sometimes more than half. Everything we have is flexible. We can literally go hand in hand with your major medical needs for your clients, up to $10,000 inpatient and $5,000 outpatient per individual. Now, having said that, this is not a indemnity product like a hospital bridge, a hospital plan, a HIP plan, whatever. There's like 10 different hospital plan acronyms out there that are all delivering an indemnified plan, which is not a first dollar coverage, is a per incident coverage, is more of a pain and suffering coverage, right? On a standard hospital indemnity, you get something happens, you file for a claim. If it qualifies, you get that money back. With the Gap, is first dollar coverage, inpatient, outpatient. So as long as the charge correlates to your deductible, your max out of pocket, and your co-insurance, we can actually cover that first dollar out of the individual's pocket. And the great thing about us is that we have a Gap card that goes along with our plan. So the cash flow of the employee remains intact, meaning that the employee can literally hand out their major medical card and they can hand out our Gap card and kind of walk away from the situation without having to cough up $2,000 and then get reimbursed later. It really helps a lot. And, I wanted to spend some time on the last bullet point here, which is all medical plans. As you've seen, the market's gotten really crazy. You have all these different plans, fully funded, self-funded, level funded, spec and egg, segregate, TPA models, union models, association models. People are getting creative. One thing they all have in common is that now they're really laying into the deductibles. Now, if you have a shelf product where, the deductibles just simply going up, well, we partner with you on that shelf product to offset that deductible max out-of-pocket cost. What's going to be being passed on to the employee at that point is probably some copays, not co-insurance, copays. Well, that you can imagine goes hand in hand perfectly with what you guys sell on the VB side. So you can have a plan like mine come in, get you through the door, perhaps even get you a BOR, or even just get you some savings so you can pair up your voluntary benefit with our gap plan and sell it to the individual to offset that bad news message they have to deliver to their employees. And we all know we're talking double-digit increases here. We're no longer talking single-digit increases across the nation. So with fully funded shelf plans, we come in, offset the deductible, and we're going to show you a case, very real-life case numbers. Now the numbers come out really nice. In some cases, there's a surplus. In some cases, we almost eliminate the double-digit increase just because of the partnership. But again, with those situations, there is a copay cost being passed on to the employees, and that's where you can really partner well with voluntary benefit. Self-funded, level funded, just think of it as us eliminating some of the liability up front, which really helps the employee. So we partner well with those setups. And spec and egg, if you're not familiar with that, or this is really where third-party administrators and TPAs are getting really creative and opening up opportunities where they could have maybe a PPO plan and a premium a negotiation model plan for the health side, where they actually come to the table with these deductibles. Now, on a plan like that, reference-based pricing model, you do not have, let's say, a copay, but you do have deductibles and you have liability. So we can partner with that as well and offer them a a true zero deductible plan for the next 3 to 5 years, which is unheard of. And then for union and associations, as I said, customizable composite rates, bucket rates. We're actually in the process of doing one with Mike, and referred us to a case, and for them we're building it. So we have the capability of be flexible and actually build something from scratch based on the need of the client because of the self-funded model. So it's a very unique and it's not a shelf product. And that uniqueness allows us to mirror and match, to beat rates, to add more benefits, for the same cost, not to mention everything else I said, including it being in all 50 states. Now, under self-funded guidelines, there are some limits of how many lives. Well, majority of the country is about 5 lives. New Jersey's now at about 10 lives and over. The only state that has the only states, I should say, that have regulations that are higher numbers are California and New York, where you need, 50 to 100 lives. In New York, it's 100 lives and over. So, but every other state, you're talking about 5 lives, 10 lives. So in New Jersey, it just went down to 10 lives. So we've been doing really well with this as a combination offer. On the next slide, I'm kind of going to, show you, well, when we were talking about the differences between the carriers, there's also a difference between prices. What has happened is Triada's self-funded chassis allows for us to be very competitive. So when you look at all these zero deductible models, and I know you're probably wondering why there's a zero deductible model on a gap. Well, there are gaps out there that actually have a deductible. So if you have a gap for your gap, it really doesn't make sense. But we don't have that. So what we're doing is comparing ourselves with the other carriers at zero deductible offers that they have. As you can see, on average, we're about 30 to 40% less than cost compared to what they're putting out there, right? So there is no point of having a deductible for a gap policy and, going out there. Now, if you look at some of the other gap plans, because they do have a deductible that's being passed on to the client, they do add some riders. And those riders, we can add them too. And the difference would be that they still would have a zero deductible when it comes to us, and the cost point would be much lower. So if you run into a situation, you want us to do a comparison side by side, we can do that as well. The next one, I'm going to pass it off to Jed. This is an actual case that we did. And before Jed takes over, I just want to say, I didn't want to, I want to show you I rather under promise and over deliver. So if you look at this plan by itself, this is where the client came to us and had a 14% rate increase. And actually, believe it or not, nowadays, that's not that bad. So Jed, if you would.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. I believe telling a good story adds a lot of flavor to what we're talking about. For this particular client, it's a 76-person group facing a 14% annual increase. The numbers on the left side are composite of the current annual premium of just over $592,000. When we added the new plan, and I'll get to that on the next slide, with our gap, the combined cost increase went from 14% down to 0.34%, showing an annual savings of just under $81,000 to the plan. And what's great about this is not only are we lowering the cost of the plan, but now we're offering first dollar coverage up to $6,000 on that max out of pocket for the employees. So they're getting an incredible benefit, and their rates being lowered at the same time. Thanks, Ray. This is the total intake on what happened. As you can see, total annual current premium $592,000. Total renewal, that was with that 14% increase of $675,000, bringing you to that 14%. So again, this tells a great story. We're literally saving almost over $80,000, including our premier plan, which offers some doctor visits as well to the employees. So you can wrap your head around this. We're increasing the benefits for the rank and file employees who have the major medical coverage, and lowering that major medical premium at the same time.
Thank you,
so
Jed.
Increasing benefits and lowering premium.
And another, just one last thing on this. Before, they had a deductible before they got their increases. Now they got their increases, we eliminated the increases and got rid of their deductible. So we're accomplishing two things. So they have a better plan, even though they have a higher deductible, they have a better plan. Now, I do want to touch on this. We have, roughly around 10 minutes left. So I do want to touch on this very important. There is a huge movement out there with the HRAs and HSAs, and I'll touch on the HRS first, and then I'll have Jed speak to the HSAs. But here's the situation. For the past 2 or 3 years, the value was there, and now kind of the value is running out on the HRAs. There is a cost associated with HRAs, administration fees, and I know I'm being humorous here, putting HRA comp question mark. I apologize to be laughing, because it's a little bit of a, it's an oxymoron. There's a lot of work being done, and there is no commission coming to the brokers and the strategic partners that we have, and we want to give that control kind of back. So, is the right move removing the HRA or reducing HRA? Well, we have done it all. Our gap allows for the following. Number one, the reduction on HRA has been one of the strategies. Remember, with the shelf plans that I mentioned, there are some copays, and some employees felt that because they had to deliver employers felt that because they had to deliver a bad news with the increase in the deductible, that, in order for us to be a complete solution, they needed to reduce their HRA contributions to very little amounts. And that allowed for that copay situation to be handled properly. Some employers simply were like, listen, dude, I'm just glad I'm getting out of this HRA nightmare. Go ahead, take on my liability, put in your gap, let them pay for whatever else is left. It's very little to nothing anyway, so I'm good with this. So regardless of what the strategy is for your clients and what you decide to do, here's a situation where, there is a lot of headache being, taken off the shoulders of some of these employers, which allows you to position yourself in different ways and utilize those funds and resources for other services that you may have. Now, we have, talk about the HRA side. I'm going to have Jed speak to the HSA side of it as well.
Thanks, Ray. On the HSA side, I want to put it out there that we do have a product that will work with an HSA that's already in place. We call it, amazingly enough, our Gap HSA plan, and it has a $1,400 deductible, so that first dollar coverage goes to that $1,400 on the HSA. But we usually recommend that we will look at the population and see what employees are contributing to the HSA. We found that in environments where there isn't a match by the employer, usually those HSAs aren't doing the job in those high deductible plans, especially now with inflation happening and people trying to figure out how to pay the cable bill. They may not be putting money into the HSA. They've got to put money in their car. So having Gap come in and take care of those major expenses for people that the plan design had the HSA taken care of, it offers a very good compromise and a very good solution to that problem.
Yeah, and well said. And, the problem is people are not properly prepped, right? And those HSAs are providing a little bit of relief. They're really not addressing the main issues. And at the end, there is a contribution set up here. And by the way, we know what the participation is like. It's a nightmare, right? And I even remember being on the other end of it and trying to explain to people, about participation and how aggravated people would get. You would have a couple of people walking through the doors that want to participate, and that was it. It's like all this work and everything goes in, and not much, it's coming from the other side as far as. So here's a great way of offsetting that problem. Again, we talk about reduction, we talk about removal, and we've seen some crazy models out there that are, trying to get creative, whether they use a shelf product or even a self-funded chassis. It doesn't matter. At the end, the results are the same. Now, in some cases, you might not want to get rid of an HSA just because you have an amazing participation. I haven't seen one, but knock on wood, I know some people, they do a great job in education and all that, and people do participate. Then we are compatible, as Jed said. So thank you so much for that, Jed. Now, we actually have a slide here called Funding the Gap. And the reason I say that is instead of saying paying for the gap, what the cost is or things like that, because I call it funding the gap because the ROI on this plan pays for itself. And we have a ton of proof, a ton of data. If afterwards anybody wants us to email them some, I can. That's not a problem. But for the presentation sake today, just think about it. If the owner pays and they pre-tax it in this model, they are working with, a certain, depending on the situation of the owner and the business, they're working with, a way of offsetting problems that they couldn't do in the past. So they can pay for it. Majority of our clients that just want a straight solution, the owner just simply pays for the plan. And remember, the cost of these plans are, $50 a month on average. So if you think of a large organization, there is not that much that they have to come out of pocket to deliver, to be able to retain and recruit those top talent, to be able to offer a, making sure that people are, staying, things like that for very little money. Another model is that for our union, for example, we can make it available as a VB offer so that people can actually purchase it, employees can purchase it as a voluntary model. Is it as effective as the owner paid? No, but because of our partnership with VB Shop and wonderful people like Mike, they make it a lot easier to have a successful platform and show the results because they do an amazing job with education, enrollment. So that partnership in the past may have not been a successful model, but because of, again, organizations like VB Shop, we can actually deliver on those numbers under a VB offer. And by the way, I have personally partnered with AFLAC, and AFLAC is utilizing us to get in, and it's been a very successful model for them. We could obviously the main way of doing it is having that conversation, increasing the deductible, absorbing cost of the gap. By the way, this slide we showed you with 83,000, that was including the cost of the gap. So we took the cost of the gap from the savings and still delivered another 80-some thousand to the employer on an annual basis. So that 0.3.4% increase that they had instead of 14, that included the gap cost. If they decide to do that, they will see that next year when there is a raise in the deductibles and the cost again for another, hopefully it's not double digits, but whatever it is, we're there right there with them. We just increased our amounts with them. So for the next at least 2-3 years, we have a solution. TPA funds it. It's an interesting model where the TPAs are absorbing the cost of the gap into the savings that they bring to the table. So if they have a spec and egg setup, if they have a way of bringing, because they don't do a percentage, they do a PPM, they just absorb the cost of the gap into their model and offer a true zero deductible, no copay model to the employers. And the deductible on that model can go as high as they like because we cover first dollar and we don't rely on the employee's cash flow. A union association can pay it, part of their dues, part of their offer. We've had that happen multiple times. One thing, and this is, you're going to see a slide here, it's called Gap Plus. Neither employer or the employee pays. And I know I get a lot of questions like, how is that even possible? It is possible. We actually have a very unique setup where we find incentives for companies, and we're able to actually bring the value to those companies if they qualify for their incentives at no cost. So we are not passing the cost to the owner. We're not passing the cost to the employees. We're utilizing incentives to actually pay for the program. Now, there is a, indirect cost of, time and effort put in and all that, but the ROI on that model is extremely worth it. And the employees love it because at the end of the day, everything is being offered to them. And that model is very unique, as in the result is it makes them actually healthier. And we can capture that annually and turn that report back to the employer and prove that we are, making a difference in the health and well-being of their employees while collecting incentives to pay for this plan. And that's a whole different conversation. So if anybody wants to talk to us about that, we can have another presentation about that. Reactivation strategy, we're doing that right now. And, I mentioned Aflac. I have a great relationship with Aflac. I know Mike does too. So we are really going back to their accounts that are completely dead and just walking in. And everybody so far has given us the time and the energy and the interest. And the deal is that, again, because it's a VB offer, we bring it back and we bring Aflac back into those accounts as a part of, saying thank you for the introduction. So it's been working really well. It is the ultimate new door opener. I do want to say that. It is the ultimate new door opener because, again, it doesn't exist, especially in the Northeast. It doesn't exist the way we're doing it. So people are excited. It's something new. And it is a new line of revenue for our brokers. And the uniqueness of our self-funded chassis allows not just for the people that have the major medical of the company to participate, but for everyone to participate, meaning that even if you get your major medical outside the company from a spouse or other sources, you could still participate and collect a new revenue on that. And with that, I know we're running out of time, and I want to be very cautious of time. And I do have some frequently asked questions here, and I'm going to have Jed just run through them real quick because we have about a minute left.
I'll go through as fast as I can, right? Okay. How much does the GAP plan cover? Well, the GAP plan covers 500 to 10,000 inpatient and 250 to 5,000 outpatient of hospitalization costs. New product that we have is what we call our GAP bucket, which offers in combination of inpatient, outpatient globally, covering up to 10,000 of the hospitalization. So an outpatient, have to explain what we determine to be outpatient. Simply you go in for a hospital for a day procedure or some kind of scan or in a freestanding building, that's considered to be outpatient. ER visits also considered to be outpatient. What does the GAP plan not cover? It does not cover copays and out-of-network benefits. On our, we have a full exclusion of coverage on our outline, so I'll gladly pass it on to anyone on this meeting that would like to see that. How is GAP claim filed? Well, every subscriber is issued a GAP card. Triada can reimburse the care provider directly, so the employee's cash flow is not impacted. Employees are subscribers are also given access to a claims portal, so if they want to pay that bill first, which in very rare situations can occur, they can file a claim and get directly reimbursed by Triada. How does the employee qualify for the GAP plan? The employer group must offer a major medical health plan. If the employee is in another group plan from a family member, they can still enroll in the GAP plan. So that we don't leave anybody behind in either our GAP or our GAP Plus plans. How does GAP Plus work? Well, GAP Plus not only provides you with greater protection than a traditional GAP policy, but it adds a unique health benefit that rewards you for taking an active role in your well-being. Ray's already covered this. I would just add that I can give a little bit more detail, a little more flavor on this, Ray, if you'd like.
Yeah, no, please go ahead.
Sure. The plan essentially uses FICA tax savings and a true medical reimbursement model that nets out at little to no cost for the employees to participate in the program. So what that basically means is at the end of the day, they look at their net as far as what the plan costs, what other plans they can get with some of the additional reserve dollars. So we're finding that it's usually a 3-to-1 ratio, where before, if it wasn't incentivized, someone would just get GAP. Usually with GAP Plus, with the reserve dollars, they're picking up accident, critical illness, and maybe some disability coverage, and still netting out at a zero cost. But that's a whole other presentation, and we can go over that at another time as well.
We can, and thank you for that, Jed. I just want to mention this. We are in a very unique time where a door has opened to certain incentives, coverages, assistance that most people are not taking advantage of. And we have a very successful model nationally, 800 plus cases in the past 8 years that we have proven that model to actually be effective. And we have protected a ton of people under that model. A completely different conversation, different presentation. And, with that, I will wrap this up and pass it off to Mike. I just want to say thank you so much for your time. And I know hopefully this has been of value, and we're here for any additional questions you may have.
Hey, Ray and Jed, we really appreciate you taking the time today to go through this. Chelsea, do we have any questions in the chat thus far?
We do not know.
Okay, guys, so no questions in the chat. You guys did a great job. If you can just go to the next slide, I'll wrap it up and we can just see if anybody has any other questions before we go. So, guys, again, thanks for joining us for today's, bi-weekly broker webinar. We do have a couple of upcoming webinars. The next one in May 26th, we have Jellyvision talking about Alex and their artificial intelligence decision support tool. June 9th, a very interesting run with Chubb talking about personal excess umbrella type policies, which is like an executive level type of VB. So very, very interesting conversation there. And then July 13th, we have Experian on to talk to us about their new personal financial solution program. Very interesting product. It does include ID theft, but there's a lot more to it than ID theft. So check that out, because I think that's going to be a real fast growing product over the next couple of years. So those are the upcoming ones. With that said, if you can go to the next screen, we'll wrap it up, guys. Again, Voluntary Benefit Shop, we're here to help you. Ray, thank you for your kind words about our partnership. We enjoy working with Triada. You guys have been a big help with the clients that we've worked on together. Hopefully, we're going to bring that union home that we're working on as well, and that'll be another good one under our belts. So we do appreciate you and Jed's work on that one, and just appreciate your time today.